I'm making this video to talk about something that I've recently discovered, or rediscovered, I should say, and it's made a huge difference in my daily life. And so I thought I would share it. It's called wet shaving. Now, wet shaving is basically using a cream or a soap and a razor blade to shave your face. Now, technically, that right there and something like this could be called wet shaving. But this, which I've used for several years, it's never actually really sharp. You know, they say to you, well, this one's got 3 blades. It's got 3 blades, and one lifts and one pulls and the other cuts and all this, and you get a close shave. Well, no, you really don't. You get a shave that lasts for 4 or 5 hours, and then you can put your hand up on your face and you got whiskers growing again. You know, you also get a shave that is not very comfortable. This thing tugs and pulls from day one. Even after you shave for a week or two with it and you replace the head on it, it tugs from day one. They're just not all that great. So I basically did this right here and chucked all that in a drawer. This right here, they call this a cream. It's a can full of chemicals propelled by another chemical, and you rub this stuff on your face and it does nothing for your face. It really doesn't even do anything for this razor blade to help it glide over your skin or anything of that. It's just this is basically junk. Your shave takes about 5 minutes frankly, because you want to get it done real fast because it's not pleasant. So I got rid of those, and I decided I was going to start to shave like my father-in-law did, or my grandfather did, and that is called wet shaving. And this is more traditional type of wet shaving, the way it used to be done. Modern technology is cool. There's a lot about that I love, but some things are old school for a reason, because they worked really well to start with, and they tried to improve, and in the so doing, I don't consider the modern stuff much of an improvement. That's just me. But you've got 2 choices when we talk about wet shaving. I want to talk a bit about the equipment you'll need. The first thing is this right here. A straight razor. Now, I use this, but for a beginner in wet shaving, I would not recommend this. There is no safety measure to this besides your hand guiding this blade. And there's a lot you have to learn about. You have to either learn how to hone this edge, or you have to pay someone to do it, because you need it sharp as sharp can be. And you need to learn to strop the blade and take care of it, keep it sharp and all of that. So for a beginner, I would not recommend this, but I do recommend as you advance into wet shaving, if the thought of this appeals to you, you ought to give it a try later on down the road, because there's really nothing like shaving with a straight razor. It's just awesome. But we're going to set this aside and look at my recommendation for a beginner wet shaver. And that is one of these. You might recognize this off the bat. This is called a double edge safety razor, or DE. I would recommend that you go to places like the Shaved In, Badger and Blade, the Straight Razor Place, the Shave Nook. Those are 4 forums on the internet that are wet shaving forums that I'm active in. My username on there is SRNoob, and you'll learn a lot about this, about techniques for using this and all of that on these forums. But this is, what I started out with in the 70s. And now I drifted into the cart razors and the disposable razors and electric razors and stuff like that. But none of them ever gave me the shave that this one gave me starting out. Now this is a twist to open, which means you twist that knob. This is an old 68 Gillette. This is actually a lady Gillette. It was made for women, but it has a longer handle. It's a mild shaver. It's not very aggressive, and I happen to think it's a wonderful razor. I use it all the time. I don't care who it was marketed to. This day and age, marketing is almost everything now, and people are ate up with marketing. And you know what? This was marketed to ladies, but this shaves really nice. It shaves really smooth. It's not pink, you know. I wouldn't really care if it was. I don't care, you know, as long as it shaves my beard the way I want it to. You know, I'm happy with it. Anyway, they made tons and tons of these, and you can get them used for $20 or $30 on eBay and flea markets and antique stores and stuff like that. You might even, your dad or your granddad or your father-in-law might even have one of these laying around somewhere. It's worth an investigation. But anyway, this one opens from the bottom. There are a couple of different types, but we'll talk about this TTO, or twist to open type now, because that's what I'm using. And they take this kind of blade. It's called a double edge blade, razor blade. And you just put it in like that, close the doors up, and you're ready to shave. So you're going to need a razor to start out with. Now the thing about this razor is that makes it so much different and so much better than this type of thing here is, first of all, when you use one of these, you don't really have to use any kind of pressure whatsoever to shave your face. It cuts, and it cuts nice and smooth. It doesn't tug and carry on unless a blade gets dull, and you have to switch them out. You have to switch these blades out more often. Some people get 3 or 4 days out of them. Some people get 5 or 6 days out of them. But they're like 10 or 20 cents a piece, so they're a whole lot better than 4 of these for $20, you know. So, but anyway, the thing about this razor that makes it such a better tool to shave with is that the shave that you get depends on your hand, what you do with it, the techniques that you learn. You know, this head doesn't pivot. You have to move it along the contours of your face, and you can control the angle that the blade touches your body, your face with, and control how aggressive this razor is. And it's just a better shave. It's a better way of doing it. This is more art, where this right here is just one size fits all, and which one size fits all usually doesn't fit most people very well. So this is a better idea, in my opinion. So that's the first thing you need. And the second thing you're going to need is you're going to need some kind of shaving soap or a shaving cream. Not this junk here. This is a shaving soap that you can find in most department stores, most grocery stores and many drugstores and things like that. And it's a hard, what they call a puck. It looks like that. You put it in a bowl or a mug, and you use one of these, which is called a shaving brush, and swirl it on top of the soap. The soap is moist, this is wet, and you create a foam or a shave cream. And either you can load this brush up and face lather, which is what it's called, build a lather up on your face, or you can do what I do most of the time and start out in one bowl. That's one of these pucks right here that I've used for probably almost a month. Okay. I still got 2-3 weeks left in that. You know. And once you load this brush up, you switch to another bowl. This is just an old crystal dessert bowl that I had laying around. We only got one of them because the others got broke. And so this works just fine. So you can either use a soap or you can use a cream. I would recommend the products that I use I can find locally. And most people can find these products in America. In the United States, most people can find these. They can find this Vanderhagen soap, or they can find this Real Shave Company shaving cream, which is an awesome shaving cream. Or this is found at Rite Aid, like $4, $5 for a tube of it. Tube lasts for a very long time. Or C.O. Bigelow shaving cream. This is a small one. I have a larger tube as well. This small one also costs about $5. You can find it at Bath and Body Works, and it's an incredibly nice cream. Matter of fact, we're going to use this today. But let's go ahead and start the shaving. We'll talk a little more about it. You just take a little bit of this. What I do is I get my water hot. It takes a minute. Then I take my bowl and I put some water in it. And then I dump the water out and just let what little bit of moisture is left in that bowl stay in it. And I take my shaving brush. A lot of people soak their brushes. I don't find it necessary, but I take my shaving brush and I put it under the stream of water. And I make sure that it gets good and soaked, good and wet with hot water. And then I shake it out. Not all the way, just a couple of times. Then I take my cream in my bowl and I put just a little dab. You see how much is there? Just a little dab of this cream in the bottom of the bowl. And a lot of guys, they hold the bowl like this and lather like that. I don't. I think it's a lot easier to whip this up like this. I don't have to worry about it. It's going to try to roll over the sides anyway. But if I've got it vertical or horizontal or whatever that is, I believe that's vertical like that, then it's going to do that even more. So you just whip it up. Now the difference in this, now we are whipping air into this lather, but the difference between this and that canned stuff is this is air. It's the air you're breathing right now, the same air that you're breathing. It's not some kind of chemical. This is a much more natural, much easier, much better, much easier on your face, much better way of shaving than what we've all been doing for decades with the cart razors and the disposable razors. It's just a better way to do things. Now, that right there, and I have a hard time finding the camera sometimes, that right there is enough lather to do 3 passes of shaving extra, and with some extra left over. We'll talk about the passes as we go. So I would take and what I do is I use a cloth. Now what I normally do, but I'm not doing it on this video because it takes a little time. I'm trying to make this as short as it is. I'm already into 15 minutes. But as I would fill my sink full of hot water, and I would place a towel in my sink and get it good and hot, and then I would take that towel and I'd put it over my face like that until it began to cool down. I'd do that 3 or 4 times, and what that does is it warms up my face for one, and it feels great. But it also kind of moistens up my whiskers and gets them ready to receive lather. But what I do now for this video, I'll just get my rag wet, and I'll pat my face just to get some moisture on it. I'm not trying to get it all soaking wet or anything. I just want a little bit of moisture on it before I hit it with this lather. And now with this, there's a bit of a difference between this and the stuff that you use in a can. That being that you don't need a ton of goop on your face to actually get a decent shave. You just need enough to do the job. And so we go that way and we'll begin to shave. And one of the things that I recommend is that you pull your skin tight like you would if you were using a straight razor. And this blade, if you look at it, if I can find it, okay, you'll see that you can see the bit of that razor blade sticking out, and there's a bar in front of here that holds it off of your face, and that makes it a safety razor as opposed to an open blade like a straight razor. And this is a solid bar, and so it is what they call a closed comb, and it is much milder to shave with, and I would recommend a mild razor to start with. So you see a lot of people, they start like this. Well, you want to kind of start like that, but you want to tilt the razor until you feel that blade begin to touch your skin. There's an angle you have to get at with one of these. Like I said, it's not like using a cart where it's all done for you. You have to learn to use this, and there's an art to it. But what I do is I pull the skin up and begin to cut my whiskers, and understand that this is, you're not using a lot of pressure. You will also find that you're going to have to make some funny faces. But when you get down here to the jawline, this part under here, you pull that skin up until that skin rolls up over top of your jawline. Then you can get at it. Now, a lot of guys will continue to go down, and that's fine. But I usually come up there because that's the most difficult area of my face to shave smoothly, and I use an against the grain motion there to try to get it as close as I can. Okay, once again, funny faces. That little divot there underneath my lip, I want to flatten it out for this blade. And I'm drawing it in. So that I can get my chin. Another thing is you're trying to keep your skin as tight as possible. So under your neck here, you want to raise your head up as far as it'll go. And I usually grab my skin and do this number. And I can go straight down here, what's called with the grain. Because I really don't have a problem getting that smooth. It's under this jawline that I have a problem with. So, and I use both hands, but you could you could use the one and reach across and just pull your skin up like this. But I use both hands. I don't have a problem with that. And I'm pulling my skin tight. Pulling that skin up over my jaw again. You notice I'm shaving at an angle. And when I go underneath the jaw, like that, I want to keep that angle. With the disposable razors and the cart razors, they do that for you. You have to be mindful of that using one of these. You know, you can do this or you can do this. Back up to the across the grain. Now, one of the things that helps a lot, now most guys, they're done with that. That one pass and they're done. Well, with true wet shaving, the idea is to get as close of a shave as I can get. So we're going to do a second pass. A lot of guys do 3 passes. I do 3 passes sometimes. But to be honest with you, I shaved yesterday and I don't have as much whisker growth as I normally do. So 2 passes is all I do. Also, the more passes you do, the more chance of irritation. Things to remember to avoid irritation is don't use a lot of pressure and don't go back over areas once you have shaved them and remove the soap. Don't go back over them. So, alright. What I'm going to do is, remember I said that this is plenty. This is plenty of cream for 3 or 4 passes if you want it. But I'm just going to go 2. But I add just a tiny little bit of water. Let it drip off of my finger. Because I want to keep the lather moist enough that it doesn't dry up on my face while I'm shaving. And that it produces a slick surface for me to shave with for the razor. So I'm going to go for a second pass. Now, what I usually do with lather is I start lathering here on this cheek here, and I do that a lot because what I'm doing is I'm building up. There's enough lather still in this brush from the first pass that I made that I probably didn't even need to dip it into the bowl this last time. But there's plenty of lather there. There's no reason to be stingy about it. And so, you know, I used it. And you see me doing kind of like painting strokes here. At the end, you want to do that because you want to make sure everything's nice and even for the shave. Okay. Now this pass is what's called an across the grain pass. And you're just coming at your whiskers from another angle to get just a little bit smoother. And now remember, we're stretching skin. And what I do, and everybody's different, is I grab this side of my nose and the skin there and I just pull it like that. Get my angle. And I'm coming across the grain. there I am making that face again, so that I can get my chin. Then I'm going to pull this up like I did before. Hands a little slick, face is a little slick. Don't be afraid or ashamed to wipe a little bit of that off. Wipe your hand off so you can get a better grip. Pull that skin tight across the jaw. Pull this skin like that. Lift your head up, get it good and tight. Get that little crevice there. And draw the face again. And some guys would come and do this or whatever. I find that works just fine for me. I sound a little like Willie Nelson when I do it. But that's all right, Willie. I like Willie. So, you know. Once I do that, then I'm going to pull my skin like this. Pull my skin taut here. Actually, let's see. See, I can pull that up just a hair more and get at that. Now I'm using absolutely no pressure with this razor. It is not necessary. This is actually sharp. Now, what I usually do, that's the second pass. And so I have gotten my whiskers down pretty good now. They're better than, that's a better shave than anybody's going to get with a cart or a disposable razor right there. So I'm going to pat my face clean. And then I'm going to kind of look for places on my face. That's pretty doggone smooth. I want to get a little bit there extra on my chin, and then right in, hard to find, right in here. So I'm going to go for like a partial third pass. And like I said, you don't have to do this. A lot of guys just do one pass, but it just depends how close you want your shave. That's the beauty of this, is that and I'm already closer than anything I would have got with a cart razor. The first time I shaved, the first pass I made was closer than that. So I want to catch a bit on my chin, and I want to get right there. And those are areas that that's all I'm shaving right now. But this time I'm going to go with what's known as an against the grain pass. I'm going to pull my skin taut, raise my head up. Use zero pressure, and I'm going to go straight up. I changed the angle there. The blade was trying to grab. The one thing about these that you have to be conscious of is that this is a razor. It will cut you if you have to change your angle just a little bit. It's not death. The kiss of death. You do what you have to do. You're alone in your bathroom. If you notice, these edges just right in here and along in here is really all I really wanted to get anyway. So I really don't need any cleanup along here. So, but and you can turn the blade over when this one gets full of cream because you got two edges. And I will probably just turn right back around. And for the heck of it, I'll get that. Because there's cream there and it doesn't hurt anything. Now, you can get some irritation doing 2 and 3 pass shaves if your skin is not used to it. And I've only been doing this again for about a month. Like I said, I started out in the 70s with one of those, but lost it somehow after boot camp and ended up with electric razors and cart razors and disposables, and none of them ever gave me the shave this one did, so I went back to this. But anyway, so in the beginning you want to be careful how many passes you do. 1 or 2 at the beginning, but you're basically doing a with the grain pass, and across the grain pass, and then an against the grain pass, and that pretty much gives you a really, I mean, that's smoother than a baby's bottom. There's no, I got no whiskers. I can go against the grain, I can go with the grain, don't make no difference. Nice and clean, shaven, beautiful shave, and I enjoyed that shave. The shaving cream feels great on my face. This has got some eucalyptus and menthol in it, and it just cools your face really well. And one of the things that I do to avoid irritation that I would recommend is, just like you did with a hot towel at the beginning, turn on your cold water, get your towel really cold, wring it out, do this right here. Get your hands up under here, under the jawline there, and push this cloth up against there, especially, and on the chin, keep it tight, because those are the places that I get the most irritation at. And I just hold it here. Now the menthol in that Steel Bigelow cream, the green tube that I used, it really makes this nice and cool. It's great in the summertime, but that cools your face off. It helps cool down and tone down any kind of irritation that you might get from the razor. And I do this about 3-4 times. I'm going to do it 3 times here just for the sake of time. Yeah, it looks silly, but it works really well. Just hold it there. Let it begin to warm up a little. When it stops feeling really cold, do her again. This is the way I do hot towels in the mornings. You know, a lot of guys use pre-shave oils and all kinds of stuff. I tried them, my own home concoctions like baby oil and stuff like that, and they never really did anything for me. Matter of fact, I didn't like the shave I got with them. But hot towels in the morning to wash my face with something as simple as Irish Spring. And then hot towels like this, 3, 4, 5 times. And then proceed to lather and shave. And end off with this. Okay. Now, there will be very little irritation to my face whatsoever after that treatment. Now, there's some things you can do after. You can use an aftershave balm. This is Swiss Army that I got. Somebody bought me years ago that I never used, and I found it underneath my sink. And so I started using it. You can use this. It's scented with their own scent. I don't use this very often. Another thing you can do is you can use a bit of aloe vera gel. That helps to soothe. It's also got, I think, a disinfecting property to it. Or you can use what I use an awful lot. It's just like a good lotion. St. Ives is good stuff. Dove makes good stuff. Probably Jergens, though I've never tried it for this application. But you know, anything like that, just to put some moisturizing back in your face. Matter of fact, I'm going to use some of this. It just takes a bit. Now, what I would normally do is I would give this a few minutes to sink in and dry, because and while I was doing that, I would clean my razor and clean my bowl and my brush and stuff like that. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to wash that off of my hands. Excuse me a minute. And there are all kinds of after the shave options. For me, I like just a simple alcohol-based aftershave. Old Spice is one that I use a lot. And I like it alcohol-based because if I shake that out onto my hand and I put it on my face, then anywhere that I've got any kind of irritation, I'll feel a sting. And that tells me what part of my face is more prone to irritation and what isn't. And I'm just getting a tiny little tingle right about here and on the other side. That's it. And I attribute that to the cold towel treatment and all of that. And also technique, light to no pressure on the razor, the proper angle, a sharp blade. All of these things make a difference. So there's one more item that I want to talk about, and it is a styptic pen. You can get these for a couple of dollars. They come most of the time. They come in a little tube like that, and they're just a white chalky looking pen. And these are for, you know, nicks and stuff like that. You know, when I first started shaving, I didn't know anything about this. I had to learn myself. My mom and dad divorced when I was 9, and I had no male to teach me how to shave, so I had to kind of learn for myself. And you know, I learned off the TV and stuff. You nick yourself, and you put a little square of toilet paper on there and walk around with that for an hour or so. And let everybody look at you and laugh at you and stuff because you got toilet paper stuck to your face. I didn't understand anything about this or know a thing about this, but all this is, it stops your nicks from bleeding, so you can continue with your shave, and it closes them up so that you don't have red welts and marks and stuff all over your face from where you nicked yourself, scabs and all kind of stuff like that. You just get it wet and rub it on the nick until it stops bleeding. Then clean it, wipe it off, put it back in the thing. Well worth $2. Now, some people say, well, this thing stinks. Well, first of all, we're men. Be a man. It doesn't sting that much. Give me a break. I I'm a diabetic, and I test my blood sugar every day, and I take 2 injections a day. And the blood testing that I do, where I poke my finger and draw a little bit of blood out, hurts more than this does. You know, to me, this is almost like if you've ever been swimming by the river and you got some of that itchweed on you, how it kind of itches a little and sort of prickly kind of deal. That's about what this feels like. It's no big deal. And the benefits of it far outweigh that tiny little bit of sting. So I would recommend you pick one of these up too, and keep it handy. That's about it. Don't forget, now there is a company called Vanderhagen, or Vanderhagen, however you want to pronounce it. I'm cleaning my brush right now. And I showed you their soap. That's the first soap that I showed you. And I showed you the soap, and they make a kit. And in that kit, you get a brush, a bowl, and a puck of their soap. These all 3 are things that you need to wet shave properly. They sell what they call a premium kit for like $10 or $12, depending on where you buy it from. Well worth the investment. This is what I use every day. You could spend $100 on one of these. You could spend $100 on one of these. You could spend $1,000 on a razor, especially the straight razors and things like that. You don't really need all of that. If you want to try that kind of stuff, be my guest. The better tool you got, the more enjoyment you're going to have. But this right here, and this here does it for me, and I don't have a problem. I would recommend that kit for a beginning wet shaver, and I would recommend you go online, places like eBay, or you go around the antique shops and the mall, flea markets and stuff, and look for old Gillette safety razors. And if not, you can always buy new. There's plenty of places online where you can buy brand new razors in the $40 to $70 range that will work just good. Parker, Mole, Edwin Jagger, bunch of different makers, and Weishi, I can't pronounce it. It's a Chinese. They're cheap. You can get one of them $10 or $20, and they're actually pretty good. You don't need anything fancy. This design is so simple that even a cheaply made one will shave pretty good. So, I mean, yeah, that's up to you, but I would recommend that if you're not enjoying your shave in the morning, if it's something that you just want to get through, give wet shaving, true traditional wet shaving a try. I think that you will find that you enjoy it, and you'll look forward to a shave in the mornings instead of dreading it. All right, thank you. God bless you, and have a good day.